Let's all go to the
mall.
Let's all go to the
Mall.
Let's all go to the
Mall.
to get ourselves a
Horror.
The man working the cell phone kiosk is watching me again. I've been trying to ignore him since he got here, but I feel like every time I look up, he's there, staring. I feel his gaze like a subtle crawling under my skin. I wish I could wash his glance off of my body as easily as I clean my hands of pulp and simple syrup after blending up a fresh drink.
Shilin wore a scrunchie on her right wrist and with that hand held Akit's left. Together they bounced 2 floors down along the emergency staircase to the 6th floor, where Magic City waited for them. Shilin rushed to Daytona, USA, grabbing a seat and getting onto her red Gallop Hornet. Next to her, a boy was already racing a purple Gallop, and she recognized him immediately.
One of the things that I loved most about this story is that as a person who is from the United States, has not been to a lot of other countries, I have a pretty specific mental image in my mind when I hear mall. And I kind of loved seeing the ways in which this story explored a mall that was both similar and different in a lot of ways to the ones that I'm used to. And I thought that the way that you arranged the setting for us was just so vivid, and the people were all very like I was there. I was like looking around, like, wow, this is such a place. Like it's just very specific sense of place that I really enjoyed. Like, is this mall, is it based on a real specific place, or just more of like a patchwork of different places, or like how did you come by this particular vibe that you've created here?
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Ria. Yeah, it is actually based on a real mall in Penang where I live. It's an island, and there are many, many malls like in Malaysia. Like it's like we are a mall culture, and because it's so hot, like everyone loves going to the mall for like free air conditioning. Yeah. So I grew up like this, like going to malls like after school. And this one's called Gurney Plaza, and it really is based on a real mall. And it's by the sea. And on the rooftops of these malls are these huge like aircon compressors, and they are so big, like with like big blades and yeah, it's just so weird. And I just always thought that like something bad would happen there. if anyone got up there.
It was very, from the moment that those particular air conditioning units were introduced, I became nervous, so that was good. It's like,
Yeah.
because I know what book we're reading.
Your story is like pretty like surreal as well, and it's like set in a food court. Like do you want to like tell us a bit about like what inspired you to write that?
Yeah, okay, so mine actually is a little bit of a hybrid mall situation, because there's two malls from uh my youth, my high school, teenage years, etc. One of them was in my actual hometown, and that mall was, for most of the time that it was open, it's since been torn down and replaced with like a pedestrian outdoor kind of mall. But while I was a teenager, it was dying for the entire time I was a teenager. It was just very slowly disintegrating, and like there was always like two or three stores that were open at a given time, and it was just like it had this really like kind of decrepit sad vibe that just, we would go there but we'd always regret it. And then the other one, there was a mall, and this is more about the layout, but it was a very popular place, but there was an Orange Julius, and then right on the corner, and then just catty corner from the Orange Julius, there was like a little cell phone kiosk. And I didn't see a lot of people at the cell phone kiosk, just like there was always some guy who was just like very like, like proper salesman type guy standing at the cell phone kiosk waiting. And you felt like if you stepped a little too close to him, then you were going to get a sales pitch. So we always gave him a pretty wide berth.
Yeah, I think it's similar in Malaysia. Like we have these cell phone guys. Like I wouldn't say that they're sleazy, but they're very, very pushy. Like and they will come to you like iPhone miss, computer miss. Yeah. Well, your story like has a twist at the end, and it's very like cleverly done, and like and as I was reading it, like I was taken on this journey, and I thought it was okay, that this was happening, but then suddenly, like it changed in the end. And I just thought that was so cleverly done. Like, what made you think of like the cell phone man and the juice girl?
There's like a customer service culture here that if you are working at a place, you almost are that place. You represent that place on a very visceral level. Like you have to be at all times representing. And there's like this also. I don't even like put this phrase in the story. Maybe I should have. But if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. Like they don't want you to ever take a single second to be who you actually are. And it's that culture of self erasure in the customer service sphere, and in addition to like just like corporations are scary, and I like body horror, so some of the horror of yours is coming from a similar place as some of the horror from mine, and that they both have to do with invasions of personal autonomy and space. I liked that it almost seemed the defense that each
Hmm.
girl in these stories, the defense against that invasion was different.
Another thing that's similar with our stories, and it's that
Mhm.
both our stories have a fight scene. Like, do you want to talk a bit about your fight
Oh
scene?
my gosh, yes. I weirdly enough I don't write a lot of fight scenes, but I wanted to this time. And to me like it was kind of more of a fun fight scene exercise because a lot of the language that I was kind of using throughout the story was a little bit of like extended metaphor in various ways that I was trying to maintain throughout the fight, even though it was a lot of action. I just remember like when I sent the first draft to my first beta reader and he read it and he was like, I love this. What does it mean? Like what is going on? I was like, thank you. And I don't know. Your fight scene I remember being just like exceedingly harrowing and partly because of that air conditioning.
Yeah, I used a lot of elements that were like common here. Like we like in school we used to have like gang fights between boys who would use helmets. So that was always the weapon of choice.
Mm.
So I put that in the story. It was very
Yeah,
cathartic for me to write that.
yeah. I can imagine. That was definitely a harrowing experience to read, which I think is really a testament to like the tight action writing skill of that scene was just like really well put together. So definitely appreciated that.
Oh, thanks. Well, you did a lot in like 1,600 words because your story was like pretty short but very tight, like tightly packed with action.
Thank you. I was like, when are you writing a novel? I'm like, I can barely get over 1,000 words. Please be nice. But yeah, I like being concise.